I'd like to call the meeting of the Show City Council to order, show that all council members are present. Thank you all for showing up. I can't believe how quiet you've been all night, so appreciate you showing up. And all those watching on Channel 56, we appreciate it. I've asked Vice Mayor Kakavas to do the invocation led by myself and the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to stand, please.
Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we gather tonight with gratitude in our hearts for our community. We thank Thee for the special holiday season that we were able to spend as a community and with our families. We are grateful for the armed services and the services that they provide to our nation. We ask for Thy blessing over them, that they may return home in peace and safety with their families. Bless our community with health and strength, that we may recover from the present pandemic. Bless our employees, that they will be healthy and safe and be able to fulfill their positions without harm. We are so grateful for them. Please bless us this night, that we may endeavor to consider all the items on the agenda with an open heart and respect. Again, we're thankful for all of our blessings, and we appreciate all that we have. Please bless us with moisture, and we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is call to the public. Any citizens desire to speak on a matter that is not scheduled on the agenda may do so at this time. Don't see anybody, and nobody turned in a card, correct? All right, moving on. Special events. Presentation on community outreach by Northern Pioneer College. Mrs. Wilson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's good to be here. I want to compliment you on your very beautiful Christmas displays along the Dusa Clubs. That is one of the prettiest Christmas lights I've ever seen in any town. They were beautiful. Coming tonight to provide you with about a quarterly report for events going on at Northland Pioneer College. I'm joined tonight by your council representative on the district governing board, Mr. Everett Robinson, and my husband, Ed, who comes along for chauffeuring and moral support. So what's going on at the college in the spring semester? Well, pretty much the same thing that was,
if you'd like,
going on in the fall.
Yes.
We have a group, the Fall Operations Group, that's comprised of faculty, staff, and students along the lines of our shared governance policy at the college. And we call them affectionately the FOG Group and the Fall Operations Group. And they made the decision to carry forward with classes in an online format for as long as possible, allowing courses in the career and technical education, nursing, allied health fields to meet with great caution with social distancing, mask wearing, hand washing, health checks. And so that was how we got through the fall semester. And as the semester drew to a close and the numbers started to rise again, they appointed a spring operations group. So we had FOG and then SOG. It was the same people. And because the numbers are what they are now, the college has put together kind of a three-color red, yellow, green operations plan. And right now we're under the red, which means we are under all online learning for the spring semester. Starting January 19th, that'll be the first regular day of spring classes. The students in the NAVIT classes started today with under the red, which is all online instruction. So how does this work for something like career and technical education or nursing or what have you? Well, those students take part in the didactic portion of their learning for as much as they can online. So they're doing things from handbooks and they're doing worksheets and things like that. And then when it's safe for them to come and do hybrid learning where they do some of their hands-on portion, then they're going to catch up at that time. And that's the same thing that happened last spring when the pandemic first hit. And most of those students were able to come together at the end of that semester and finish up even if it was one-on-one with an instructor, to demonstrate their hands-on competencies so they could finish their programs. So that's what we're doing now. The plan is to start in the red phase until the first part of February. Then we hope to go on what we call yellow, so caution, where we'll look at the situation then, and the SOG will get together and talk about it and decide if we can go ahead and do that hybridized instruction where students can come and safely distance from one another, but be able to practice their hands-on learning and competencies at that time. And so, what we do is kind of dictated by the conditions as they unfold. You know that we're also involved in a presidential search. We hope to have a new president seated July 1st, so the beginning of the new fiscal year. And the district governing board selected the Association of Community College Trustees to work with the college in conducting a nationwide search to find a new president. And the ACCT is working closely with an internal search committee that's made up of faculty, staff, students, and community members to prepare a presidential profile, get the advertisement open, and begin a national search for the president. They've put that up online. And if anybody's interested or wants to share this, we welcome any qualified applicant to look into us. It's at npc.edu/presidential_search. And so you can go on the NPC website and just look for presidential search and actually find all the application materials and the presidential profile there. And then we have the Show Lo's White Mountain Campus's capital improvement plan, and I wanted to bring just a brief report on that. I know that some of you know David Hewish and Richard Strickland. David Hewish is our facilities director for the college, and Richard Strickland is our construction manager for the project. Have been meeting with members of the council. And David reports that the project is moving along as scheduled. At this time, SPS Plus, which is the architectural group, is working on the designs for our skill center. And again, that'll be the center that encompasses our career and technical education courses that are currently off-site, like automotive technology, and brings them onto the campus. They're working on the elevations for the building exterior. Those have been approved, as well as the interior floor plans. And they've all been forwarded now to the different CTE departments, so that the departments, the faculty, and the department heads can look at them and give final approval for room sizes, equipment placement, and things like that. And David Hewish reports that the final design plans for the site elevations, the floor plans, and such should be coming to you at the city for approval by the end of this month. So that's what's happening with our capital improvement plan. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Council member got any questions?
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is consent calendar. Any council members have anything they want to have removed, or Councilman also?
Yeah, 7D, please. I'd like to have it removed and talk.
Okay, 7D. Okay, I'll read the consent calendar.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yeah.
I'd just like to make a comment on item A and compliment Macaulay Construction and staff for the completion of the project on East Hall. It looks wonderful.
Thank you. Can we make a motion on the consent calendar and just leave that one off, correct? Okay. Okay, consider the acceptance of East Hall Street and drainage. Consideration of approval employment agreement with the magistrate. Proclamation by the mayor proclaiming January 18th, 2021 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. April 24th, by the way, is the day of service for Show Lo. And consideration of the minutes of the Show Lo Council meeting study session November 23rd, special meeting December 1st, and regular meeting December 1st. I need a motion on those items, please.
Mayor, I think you missed item D.
Item D, we're pulling.
Okay. I thought he said B. Okay.
You did say D, correct?
D.
D.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar minus item D.
We have a motion. We need a second.
Second.
Vice Mayor Kakavas, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, coming back to consent calendar. Consideration of approval of temporary labor services. Councilman Alsop.
I'd just like to have Rick come up and talk to us a little about, but I'm thinking that more of it's probably going to be about maybe Justin or Ed. My question is to Rick really is, with all the people that you bring in for like contractors for your labor thing, how many of those do you really retain in that they come back in and ask from temporary services to being full-time employees? Do you have that idea? Or
As of right now, we're retaining about 50%. Councilman Alsop.
well, the question, the reason I brought it up is I've dealt with a lot of contract stuff in a lot of years, and I just know that contractors really, they don't put in the effort, or they don't have the integrity or the what it needs to do a job. And then it seems like whenever we get rid of them, then we have to come back and try to pick up after them and clean up after them, because they just don't have the responsibility of what usually a full-time employee would have with the city. So this has been a thing from a long time that I've been asking for more manpower be on the city records instead of just being contracted out. So that just one reason I just want to kind of bring it up is I am looking at, I think we get better service if we have people, full-time employees and stuff like that, instead of doing temporary. So I thank you for, I know that you don't have really the answers I don't want to jab into, but thank you for your time. And, and I totally agree with what we have to do to raise it up, but I just want to voice my opinion about making full-time employees instead of part-time or temporary. So thank you, Rick.
Excuse me, Rick.
Rick, hang on a minute. We got a couple more questions.
Sorry.
As it relates to this issue, as I read the item on the agenda, it talks about using this temporary services for a working interview. And are you finding that works out better than having a high turnover rate when you hire somebody permanently or full-time?
At this point, yeah, it's working out. We're having a lot of trouble getting applicants because of the COVID virus, and people are getting paid to stay home pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So if they take the step to go through the process, I think it's working out really well at this point.
Thank you.
So are these mainly seasonal? And if so, what's the season?
We do have seasonal, spring through the fall. We try to keep our parks picked up pretty well and weed eated, which
Right.
our staff does a fantastic job. Lately, it's been all through the year because of the virus. We're just trying to fill positions, and we just recently hired two excellent hires, I should say. We've got a couple more that we're looking at. We're having a lot of trouble keeping staff on,
So you just said you hired two. Is that off this program?
Yes, it is. And they turned out to be awesome. One of them already has most of the certifications he needs to work in water. That was a very good hire by us. And it all came through the agency.
Good. Thank you. Anybody? Councilman also.
Rick, I'm glad you touched on that. We've always said and pride ourselves to try to retain people, get them started, teach them, retrain them, and keep them here for us. So that's like, I think a full-time employee, we might retain a lot more than doing temporary and changing that around. I'm not saying I'm not going to vote for putting the thing under, but I think we just need to look at trying to implement where we can hire full-time employees, where we can get and retain them, and we don't have to keep on going back and trying to get temporary service all the time. So thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I need a motion on the consent calendar to approve item D. Vice Mayor Chavez makes the motion. Second.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passed. Next item on the agenda under new business is, let me go to it real quick. Have patience here. Public hearing and consideration of a pre-authorization of projects for community development grant funding, consideration of resolution number R 2020-01, authorizing submitting application for community development block grant. Ms. Robertson.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight, we are here to consider approximately $270,000 being offered to the City of Show Low by the Arizona Department of Housing through the Community Development Block Grant Program. This program funds projects to assist persons of low to moderate income to prevent or eliminate, to prevent or eliminate slums or blight, or solve an urgent community need or health hazard. The first public hearing regarding this matter was held October 22nd, 2020, to obtain community input on the use of these CDBG funds. Unfortunately, no public input was received at that public hearing. Tonight's public hearing is to solicit additional public input on possible projects for CDBG funds. Following the hearing, the council may select the final community CDBG project to be submitted for application and to adopt an applicable resolution. Staff recommends the sidewalk improvement project on Huning Street between 11th and White Mountain Road. Should the council, after hearing public input tonight, accept the staff's recommendation and determine that the city's priority for use of these 2021 CDBG funds is the Huning Street Sidewalk Improvement Project, staff will submit a letter of intent to the Northern Arizona Council of Governments by January 29th. The city's letter of intent will then be submitted to the Arizona Department of Housing by NACOG. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you. Before that, I believe we got to open up public hearing.
Okay.
So at this time, I'll open up to public hearing. If anybody has any questions about this item. Seeing nobody moved, I will close the public hearing and turn it back to the council for any questions or motions.
Are you ready for motion?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Councilman also.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Robinson, for this. This block grant has done a lot for the downtown Show Low area, and I'm grateful that you're still going after all that and making this downtown look good. Even though we just were commented on how well the lights look, if it wasn't for our staff, our park and recreation staff, it wouldn't look the way it is looking right now. So thank you for going after this and pursuing it and keeping us going in the direction that we're going. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I am looking for a motion or questions.
I move to adopt resolution number R 2021-01, authorizing the submission of an application for fiscal year 2021 Community Development Block Grant Funds, certifying that the selected project aids in the prevention or elimination of slum or blight within the community's established downtown redevelopment project area, as adopted by resolution R 2019-06. And in that, going with the recommendation to fund Huning Street between 11th Street and White Mountain Road.
Thank you. We got a motion. I need a second. Second by Councilman Hatch. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
Appreciate it. All righty, next item on the agenda is consideration of award of an agreement for a BMX track. Mr. Cupp. Track
Mayor
operator.
and council. The Show Low BMX track was originally constructed in 2010. Track operated successfully for several years, hosting weekly races and some sanctioned events. The largest event was a state championship qualifier race that brought over 300 spectators. In 2017, the standards for BMX tracks were revised by the sanctioning body BMX USA. Show Low's track no longer met the standard for sanctioned racing, and no official races were held after 2017. In August 2020, staff met with the local family interested in partnering with the city to upgrade and operate the BMX track at Nicholas Homestead Park. On September 1st, 2020, a city council study session was held to discuss a potential partnership. As a result of the direction from council, a request for proposals was prepared and advertised. A proposal was received from Sholo BMX LLC, a nonprofit established by the Bagg family. The proposal included generous commitments from the family to reconstruct and operate the BMX track. The city will also commit to improvements, which include assisting with construction, installing bleachers, relocating fencing, planting trees, placing sod, providing security lighting and cameras. The city will use Parks and Facilities Maintenance Improvements funds to start the improvements and then budget funds in future years for additional improvements and maintenance. The costs for the track construction are estimated in the proposal. The operator will also provide insurance for the track. The initial term of this agreement will be 2 5-year terms from the effective date. The agreement may be renewed for up to 2 additional periods of 1 year each upon mutual written agreement by both parties. Staff recommends approving the agreement with Sholo BMX LLC for the reconstruction and operation of the BMX track located at Nicholas Homestead Park.
Thank you, Mr. Cup.
Happy to answer
Appreciate
any
it.
questions.
I know one thing, I'm pretty excited about this. You can still tell you live in a small town because if you go anywhere in town, you hear people talking about that they heard rumors about this. So it's already out in the public that this could be happening and bring BMX. I know the track's not legal the way it is now, but bringing it back the way it was a few years ago. So I know I'm pretty excited about it. So any questions or comments? Vice Mayor.
I too am very excited about this project, and I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to our community. I didn't see what we're looking at for the initial funding for.
The initial funding is
provided.
in the operator agreement. There's a list of improvements on page 4, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's the agreement. Looks like I didn't. Oh, here we go.
It's in there. I don't have it.
On page 4 of 5 on the proposal portion of that, says initial build cost estimate 50 to 75,000. Those are shared costs. Some of the Bagg family will be providing some of that funding, and the city will be partnering and providing some of the funding as well.
Is the Bagg family here tonight?
Yes, they are. Josh and Whitney Bagg are here, and I'm sure they'd be happy to give you any more information about the family. And
Come on up. We'd like to hear from you.
I'd like
asked me to save
hear about their
save
vision,
this, but
their vision for the park.
Apparently they didn't want to come up, but
I kind of told them they wouldn't have to. But
Speaking part.
go ahead, Vice Mayor. You had a question for him.
Well,
Thank you.
I would just like, well, first of all, we appreciate this partnership, and we're very much looking forward to improving this track in our community. It's a wonderful asset. But I would like to hear what your vision is for the park and what you think about our community, and we appreciate you joining our community.
Vision wise, so we have 3 small children, 9, 6, and 4, 2 boys, 1 girl, and they're very active. So we're a very active family. When we moved here, we were ice skating every single day for 3 hours a day. So it was one of those things like we want to get our kids involved more because we started BMX riding before we left. So the biggest idea was since there was already a track here, why not redo the track and make it larger for the community and allow our kids to make friends. So, with a huge background in dirt bike riding, and he ran a dirt bike track for a long time. So, BMX riding kind of falls into the same category of track and stuff like that. So kind of that experience wise, and it's a big family sport. So we're really involved with our family and, grandma and grandpa, and like we have nieces and nephews that want to do it too, and friends that we've already made that are super excited about it. So, yeah. So it's not really like a moneymaker for us. More, we want our kids to be doing something fun and exciting.
Well, like the Vice Mayor said, thank you guys so much for wanting to get involved. It's pretty exciting. Any other?
Can we expand this agreement to include you to build a dirt bike track too? Is that on the horizon?
If
Is
you
that
guys
possible?
approve
Like-
that, sure.
The liability?
Yeah.
Someone handles the liability
It's
for me.
Arizona. It's not California.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Wilson.
I just want to say thank you so much. I am so excited for these kids. Growing up as a child, my parents created a dirt bike track. So I was out, we were doing that. That was an experience that I'll never forget. That track still stands today. So I'm just excited for the kids, and I thank you guys for coming to the city about it.
Councilman also.
And I want to thank you too. When this track was first put together, my family was in there. I had 3 small kids and grandkids really, and they were running and playing everything else. So not only did the city put money into it and everything else, but a lot of the community put in. Frontier built the stand that's out there so you guys can overlook everything, and the starting block and everything else. So it's a lot of sweat and equity that went in. We know it has to be changed, but we're looking for a bigger and better thing than what we had. When it was just as small as it is, we had a lot of people come up, and a lot of people from the valley come up and participate in this. And I think this could be a big thing for City of Show Low if you can make it go the way that you guys think you can do it. So more power to you.
I mean, eventually it'd be nice to do huge sanctioned events. That's the ultimate goal. So, like the giant events you see on TV where like there's hundreds of pros.
We're gonna do it good.
I can't wait till
make
we
it
get hundreds of people together again.
Right?
Anything. That's a
Well,
good
everyone's
start.
outside, so.
Anybody else?
I am too excited about it. I think this is awesome. Always great to see new things brought into Show Low and help our economy. But so, are you looking like this summer to have things going, or what's the time frame?
Is if it's approved as soon as we could get going, so we get it going by when's the weather looking better? March. Maybe? Right?
It doesn't snow here, so.
Or rain. So
We want it to, though.
yeah, we wanted to.
Well, also that we got city staff that's going to be involved in that too, helping out there. So there's going to be some work the staff's going to do. So probably March sounds like pretty soon, but who knows?
But before
Never know.
summer, I mean, there could be something going by this summer.
Right.
Sounds like
That's the goal.
No. I was just going to make a motion.
Go for it.
All right. I move to approve the agreement with Show Low BMX LLC for reconstruction and operation of the BMX track located at Nicholas Homestead Park.
Second. Councilman Hatch, second. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those disapprove say no. It passed. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
welcome to the community.
All righty, next item on the agenda is consideration of award or contract for the Show Low Library Expansion Construction, City of Show Low project number FM-1221, and approval associated budget transfer. Mr. Cupp.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Show Low Library Expansion Project will enclose the covered area on the east side of the library to provide a teen center. The new enclosed area will add approximately 1,800 square feet to the library. Project is partially funded with grant funds from the Arizona State Library in an amount of $48,500, Friends of the Library in an amount of $10,000, and Rural Activation and Innovation Network grant in an amount of $25,000. The remaining funding will be provided by the city. The original estimated cost for the project was $304,000. The design was completed by Barton Associates Architect with a construction cost estimate of $284,000. In December 2020, the project was bid following statutory requirements with the following results. LD&B LLC, $415,000. Redden Construction, $473,198.52. Point Companies, $496,426.67. All three bids exceeded the project budget. This is due to several factors. The local construction boom has contractors operating at capacity. There have been large increases in construction material costs over the past year. For example, framing lumber costs have doubled since April. Labor costs have also increased by about 15% because of competition for skilled workers. It is unlikely that rebidding the project at a later time would result in a lower bid. Also, some of the grant funding would be lost due to deadlines to use these funds. As a significant amount of the funding for this project is from grants, $83,500, staff feels that we should attempt to proceed with the project. If council wishes to proceed, we would need to provide $163,900 in additional funding. As discussed at the council retreat, the council could authorize the additional funding from the CARES Act money received. Staff recommends awarding the contract for the Show Low Library Expansion Construction, City of Show Low Project number FM 1221 to LD&B LLC in an amount not to exceed $415,000 and approving the associated budget transfers.
Thank you, Mr. Cup. Just a quick comment, I guess. I think about enclosing that into the library. It's like throw up some 2x4s, put up some paneling, and go. And you see this price, it's like, wow. So I'm hoping, I know that there was a phone call made earlier. Hopefully you have a picture of this because we don't even know what we're doing to enclose this. But it just seems pretty fancy. Anyway, it just seemed like it was a lot of money just to enclose that. And it's a lot more, obviously, because of height than, like you said, anything else.
So the picture we brought up, or the elevations, the one on the top is on the east side of the building looking west, and then the one below is on the south side of the building looking north. So the rear of the building is going to be very similar in look to the front of the building, with the exception of the fireplace in the middle. So it's going to have the same type of siding and then the glass storefront windows.
Go ahead.
Mr. Cup, how old is our library? What year was this finished?
I should know that. It's less than 10 years.
Is it? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Cup, real quick, another comment, I guess, is the other concern I have at that end of the building is the noise for the AC unit and stuff. And I know they're going to put something up there, but can they kind of guarantee that that's not going to go through that wall? Because that's a huge unit. I know right now you can't even stand out there, and that's why it isn't used. And I know it was made a comment that they're going to put a wall there and all that, but is it still going to be enough?
They're going to have a sound wall, sound attenuation going all the way up there, which is supposed to take care of that noise issue.
Well, okay, but are they going to guarantee that we can use that when it's done, I guess? Because for that kind of money, I mean, you don't want to get it done, and all of a sudden they say, we start using that building, that fires up, and you can't talk. I know they say they're going to.
I understand that, and they were aware of that.
Okay.
And
it's really loud.
And reminded a couple of times about that as well while they were doing the design. That's actually one of the probably more costly components of that construction, is that sound wall there too.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Mr. Cup, when was the original estimated cost of the project completed?
That was probably close to a year ago. I know that the architect did an update because we changed the exterior material, but the only thing that she changed on that was that exterior material. They originally had a sheet metal type of, it kind of looked like bricks, but it was sheet metal. And we asked them to do the CMU like the rest, to match the rest of the building. The only part that she updated then was just the part of that stuff, though.
I guess this is the signs of the times that the cost estimates and the actual bids are really excessive compared to them.
Nobody likes to be the low bidder when you're the designer. I can guarantee that. So.
Councilman Adams.
Well, this was finished 10 years ago, and I've heard a lot of comments over the years, but it's small, and then we're going to do this expansion or add on. I mean, are we looking at 10 years from now, another add-on? I mean, where does this this kind of money, are we getting aside the library that's going to be able to hold us our growth in the future, or how does that? It just seems like it.
I think the original, as a matter of fact, I know the original scope of the library and the original size was budget driven. I mean, we had so many dollars to spend on it. We tried to maximize the dollars that we had. They did have that area undercover in the back, and I think the plan all along was to expand that. But we're a little bit out of real estate now. I mean, it would have to be a completely separate building in order to do anything else. We can't expand this.
It's absolutely amazing how many people go to that library a day. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's well used, and I agree. Any other comments or a motion?
I'll move to award the contract for the Shoal Library Expansion Construction, City of Shoal Project Number FM 1221 to LD&B LLC in an amount not to exceed $415,000 and approve the associated budget transfers.
Second.
Second by Councilman Alsop. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Cup.
Thank you.
Mr. Cup.
Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is consideration of ordinance number 2021-01, adopting the Shoal City Code. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is kind of finishing up our two-part process to adopting a new city code and reformatting our city code. As you recall, we came to you in the retreat in October and went over some of the provisions in the code, and then December 1st at our council meeting, we presented amendments to the city code that covered those chapters listed there in your packet, and those were approved and by unanimous vote by the council, and they were incorporated into the revision of the city code, which is then completed by Code Publishing. So some of the reasons that we had done this, as indicated in some of our earlier meetings, was that the city code had not really been recodified since 1976. And so over the years, there was a lot of errors, omissions, when ordinances were added to the code. This hopefully caught most of those. The current code on the website is searchable, but it's only chapter by chapter. So the new code will be web-based and be updated by Code Publishing or codification specialist. And this codifying is sometimes complex, requires some highly skilled editors to make sure we're not getting any errors. So that's nice to have them back us up and review the code when we update it. Anyways, we'll have a new format. It'll match our website. It'll be easier to read and make future revisions. And of course, the part that I like the best is it'll be searchable by key phrases, the whole code. You won't just have to go chapter by chapter. You can search the whole code, do a smart search, and find people online will be able to find things easier, as well as myself has been searching the code and other members of the city staff. So when it was reformatted, I think you guys were all sent a link to see what it looked like and to reformat it. But some of the chapters and things will be changing around a little bit. We'll have to do some education with our staff and the public about where to find things. But again, if it's searchable, that'll be great. We did, Councilmember Hatch found a little error in the code, even though it's been reviewed many times. But I think it's in chapter 1.10. It's talking about our use of city logo and the slogan. On one part, it says named by the turn of the card. Another spot, it says named by the turn of a card, and it should be a card. So we're going to fix that little typo, the to an A. Thank you for catching that. But in your motion tonight, when you make that motion, if you'll just make a part of your motion to correct that little section, that would be great. But we're hoping that after tonight, we'll get it up on the website. Within hopefully a week or two, we'll see how quick they can get it up. And we'll have a provision in there that's not really effective until a month from now, but people can start getting used to it, getting that feel for it as they get on there. So happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I got a quick comment, Mr. Brown. So we haven't done the code since 1976, correct?
We haven't recodified it. We made amendments to it lots
over
of
the
times.
years. So what's the normal? I mean, when should we modify that? When should we start looking at that again?
Well, that's a good question for our city clerk, maybe, but I think every 10 years or so. I was going to say every 10 years or so. We probably ought to look at it.
Okay. Any other comments or questions or motions?
Make that motion. If I can do it with my voice. I move to adopt ordinance number 2021-01, adopting the Show City Code with corrections noted by staff in chapters 01.010 and 0.21. I'm sorry. Let me 0.020. I beg your pardon. Many dots.
Thank you, Councilman Hatch. Got a motion and a second? Second by Councilwoman Wilson. Any other comments or questions?
And Mayor, just so we're clear, that one part of this is that we will, the code publishing company, every time we make a change, they'll update it for us constantly. It'll be updated just like that. So that's a nice thing too, that it's constantly being updated instead of waiting 10 years or 20 years to do it.
So it doesn't, well, I brought up a question then. So if that happens, it doesn't come back to the council, or it just, what do you mean by that, I guess? What do you do?
Sorry, we got to read the ordinance by title only. I think that was the revision on your thing. So we can go back and redo it by title only, and then I'll answer the question.
By title only, where's, I'm sorry. I gave mine to,
I move by unanimous consent to read ordinance number 2021-01 by title only, since all council members have a copy.
that'd be what I'd be saying.
Jeez.
Thank you. An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Show Low, Arizona, adopting the Show Low City Code.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I lost my paper to Councilman Hatch, so.
I move to adopt ordinance number 2021-01, adopting the Show City Code with a correction so noted in chapter 01.010 and 0.20.
Can I second it?
Second by Councilman Wilson. Okay, any other questions or mistakes or comments? No? All right, call for the vote. One more.
Go ahead. Take the motion then.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passed.
But to answer your question, so when we do an amendment to the code in the future, we send it to Code Publishing, and they just put it in that format and put it up on the website, enter it in. So
Okay,
it's just an easier process to update.
thank you. I wonder where that came from when I gave my paper away to you. It's like, well, I don't have all that.
Mine, I'll give it to you now.
Sorry about that. All right, next item on the agenda, summary of current events. Any council members have a?
I'll just
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. I had an opportunity a couple weeks ago to meet with the Show Low Chamber Governing Board. That's one of the assignments that Mayor Leach asked me to do, and it was a great meeting with the members of the Show Low Chamber. I feel really confident in the team that they have put together. They're going in the right direction. There's been discussion about what they're going to do for like Show Low days and some of those summer events that we usually plan that they have to start planning right now. And some more information will be forthcoming on that. But I really am impressed with the Show Low Chamber board right now. They really have their act together, and they're moving in the right direction. It's exciting to see. So
That is very good to hear. Thank you. Appreciate that. Councilman also.
A couple of things. I attended my last Main Street board meeting last month. It was hard to say goodbye to the people I've been working with for over 10 years. Main Street has done a lot of different things, projects for the city of Show Low, and the corner here on 9th and Deuce Clubs is the last thing they did, and it was a great big project, and it turned out good. It was just it was hard to say goodbye to people for 10 years and go do something else. I do have one other thing. This is the only place I can do it, because if I do it any other way that I want to do it, I'll probably be violating the open meeting law. So what I want to do is Councilman Wilson and Clark and Adams, I would like to, when I came onto the city council, they said, I had people say stuff to me to encourage me of what's going on and how to do it. all 3 of you are new on the council. And I just felt like I needed to encourage you to do what you need to do. The one that started me on this was Bill Stinson back in the 80s, 90s. He was a council member, and he came up to me and told me that I needed to run for office, and I did. I ran for the fire board. The other one was a main tribute to my life was Councilman Whipple, Vice Mayor Whipple, Mayor Whipple. He told me on the first day that I became a council member was, Mike, be yourself. And be yourself is to have integrity and speak the truth and stand up for yourself and stand up for others, stand up for the city that voted for you to put you in this position. And so I took that by heart. And then when I went to the National League of Cities and Towns and seeing how the other mayors, council, and the League of Cities themselves, how they respected and the integrity that Whipple had was unbelievable. It blew my socks off of how this guy was so impressed, or other people was impressed by what he did and what he stood for. Then when I went back to DC with him for the very first time, I'd never been to DC in my life, and he showed me around and have the senators and the congressmen come up and and he showed them the integrity that they had and responsibility, and his word that he stood by. It was unbelievable. So I would just love to pass. Oh, the other one was Mayor Furneaux. First time I came into a council meeting and I was doing something in the council meeting, I gave a report like I was doing tonight, and Mayor Furneaux goes, "That's the way it needs to be done. That's the way the council needs to show that they've been to their board meetings and that they need to report that so that people know that they're not just sitting around and just come to these meetings twice a week." The other one was Daryl Seymour about standing up and being for him whenever he was gone and taking the authority with him and having the integrity is why he wanted me to do that. So I want to pass that on to each one of you three. You can take it or you can leave it, but when I have people to speak into my life, I usually take it in and look it over and try to be example how they're teaching me to be example. So I want to pass it on to you. Please take it for what it's worth. You can tell me, Mike, you're for bananas, or hey, this is something that I really want to do. But if it wasn't for Mr. Whipple having integrity and putting integrity in me and to say the truth and to be the person behind your word, I think I would be in a different place. So that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Alsop. Appreciate that. Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to, first of all, it's our first meeting back for the new year. We had a really rough 2020, but I want to wish our staff and the council and our community a very happy, healthy, hopeful new year. And as a team, we can get through this. We have a wonderful community that we can pull together and get through everything. I also wanted to express my gratitude to Councilman Alsop for serving 10 years with the Main Street and the many projects that Main Street undertook, and I appreciate that board and their service to our community.
Thank you. Any Councilwoman Wilson?
Can I just say, in the year and a half, or a little over a year and a half, I've been coming to these meetings. This is the first meeting I haven't heard Councilman Alsop talk about Meals on Wheels. So I want to talk about Meals on Wheels for just a second. Our local stores, Safeway especially, will have their specials, 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents, whatever, different things. And so it was because of you that I started saying, I don't need these, but Meals on Wheels might, or the senior center, and so it was funny because I started telling people about it and they're like, oh, well, I could do that too. And next thing you know, we have like 5 people donating, 5 pounds of potatoes or 10 pounds because you could buy 2 of them. And so it's like, it was just really cool to be able to give that stuff. And it was really cool how fast it caught on when I started telling people that. And so if you do have that where you don't need something, but you can spare the change, buy that stuff and take it over to the senior center because they were very appreciative of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. Anybody else have any comments? City manager. Didn't forget you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Just a couple items to report. We're beginning the process to prepare the city's annual budget for fiscal years 2022. Seems like it's not 2022, but it'll be the budget for 2022 starting July 1st. In addition to a budget study session with the council on Tuesday, July 19th at 6 p.m. Mark that on your calendars. July 19th, that's your next council meeting, 6 p.m. We're hosting a town hall budget meeting specifically for citizen input the following Thursday on January 21st at 6 p.m.
You said July 19th?
No, I just realized that it's January. It's not
Woo-hoo,
July.
get some time off.
The budget starts in July.
Until July, that like that.
What time did you say that was, Ed?
6 p.m.
Where's that?
Both meetings, January 19th and January 21st. All budget meetings are held at the council chambers, are open to the public, and we have the full listing of all the budget meetings on our website at sholoaz.gov. Anyone that wants to recycle their Christmas tree still has until Sunday, January 10th to drop it off, with all lights and decorations removed within the area bordered by the orange construction fence at the north end of Frontier Park parking lot on 9th Place. The trees will then be taken to Noble Power and Snowflake for use as biomass fuel. We do have quite a few public works projects going around town. One of them over on 260, a water line crossing. We've had several water line crossings. There will be more to come. They're doing those crossings in preparation for a mill and overlay project on both the Dusa Clubs and White Mountain Road. We appreciate everybody's patience with us as we do those projects. And finally, this Happy New Year, and this being the first meeting since the passing of Gene Kelly, we want to express our condolences to him, our former councilman. He served the city for many years. Over 26 plus years on the Planning and Zoning Commission or City Council. He was a steady, I think in those 26 plus years, he might have missed 2 meetings. He was here all the time and provided input and helped lead the city of Show Low as not only councilman, but as vice mayor and mayor. So thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Ed, for reminding us.
Appreciate that. You know, if we can have the public show up for some of these budget meetings, it sure be nice. It seems like when we start the budget, it's only us that shows up until the budget's done, and all of a sudden the public wants to have an input. So spread the word that our budget meetings are coming up. We'd sure like to see some of that public input. Would be awesome. Anybody need seconds? Scheduling of meetings. I think we just went over some. Do we have any more that we need to talk about? Wow, this is awesome. All right. If there's nothing else that comes up to the council, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, guys. I can't get everybody's name out fast. Yeah. That's why I just said go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about saying it at the same time.